Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Damona Tiravana Chari Jamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Damona Tiravana Chari Jamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bring some tissue and my asmana. Asmana. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Gaura Krimanandi Jaya Vishupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Shauja Stotra Satta Sri Simad His Divine Grace Shirabai Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Charya's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samavata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Harinama Sankirtana Ki Grantaraj Madhagavatam Ki Janitai Gaura Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitam Sya Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama-shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Uttama-shloka Charitam Sakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyaya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya. Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinatarunam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. Continuing from the second canto, chapter 1, entitled First Step in God Realization. And we're reading text number 22. Yes. Rajavacha Yatha Sandharyate Brahman Dharana Yatra Samata Yadrishi Va Hared Ashu Purushasya Mano Malam Rajavacha Yatha Sandharyate Brahman Dharana Yatra Sammata Yadrishi Vahared Ashu Purushasya Manomalam Rajavacha Yatha Sandharyate Brahman Dharana Yatra Sammata Yadrishi Vahared Ashu Purushasya Manomalam Rajavacha Yatha Sandharyate Brahman Dharana Yatra Sammata Yadrishiva hared ashu Purushasya manomalam Rajovacha Yatha sandharyate Brahman Dharana yatra sammata Yadrishiva hared ashu Purushasya manomalam Rajovacha Yatha sandharyate Brahman Dharana yatra sammata Yadrishiva hared ashu Purushasya manomalam Rajavacha Yatha sandharyate Brahman Dharana yatra sammata Yadrishiva hared ashu Purushasya manomalam Raja Uvacha The fortunate king said, Yatha, as it is, Sandharyate, the conception is made. Brahman, O Brahmana, Dharana, conception, Yatra, where and how, Samata, in a summary, Yadrishi, the way by which, Va, or Haret, extricated, Ashu, without delay, Purushasya, of a person, Manaha, of the mind, Malam, dirty things. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The fortunate king Parikshit, inquiring further, said, O Brahmana, please describe in full detail how and where the mind has to be applied and how the conception can be fixed so that the dirty things in a person's mind can be removed. Kindly repeat after me. The fortunate king Parikshit, inquiring further, said, O Brahmana, please describe in full detail how and where the mind has to be applied and how the conception can be fixed so that the dirty things in a person's mind can be removed. Purport. The dirty things in the heart of a conditioned soul are the root cause of all troubles for him. A conditioned soul is surrounded by the manifold miseries of material existence. But on account of his gross ignorance, he is unable to remove the troubles due to dirty things in the heart, accumulated during the long prison life in the material world. He is actually meant to serve the will of the Supreme Lord, but on account of the dirty things in the heart, he likes to serve his concocted desires. These desires, instead of giving him any peace of mind, create new problems and thus bind him to the cycle of repeated birth and death. These dirty things of fruitive work and empiric philosophy can be removed only by association with the Supreme Lord. The Lord, being omnipotent, can offer his association by his inconceivable potencies. Thus, persons who are unable to pin their faith on the personal feature of the Absolute are given a chance to associate with his Virat Rupa, or the cosmic impersonal feature of the Lord. The cosmic impersonal feature of the Lord is a feature of his unlimited potencies. Since the potent and potencies are identical, even the conception of his impersonal cosmic feature help the conditioned soul to associate with the Lord indirectly and thus gradually rise to the stage of personal contact. Maharaj Parikshit was already directly connected with the personal feature of the Lord Sri Krishna, and as such he had no need to inquire from Shukadev Goswami about where and how to apply the mind in the impersonal Virat Rupa of the Lord. But he inquired after a detailed description of the matter for the benefit of others who are unable to conceive of the transcendental personal feature of the Lord as a form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. The non-devotee class of men cannot think of the personal feature of the Lord because of their poor fund of knowledge. The personal form of the Lord, like Rama or Krishna, is completely revolting to them. They have a poor estimation of the potency of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita 9:11, it is explained by the Lord himself that people with a poor fund of knowledge, 9:11, that people with a poor fund of knowledge deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Avajananti mam buddha, I think that one. Taking him to be a common man. Yeah? Avajananti mam buddha manushim tanumasritam param bhavam ajananto param bhava Brahma Bhuta Maheswaram. Yeah. Translation? Loudly.
Fools desire me.
Fools deride me.
Deride
me. Yeah. Fools deride me.
When I descend in the human form.
When I descend in the human form.
They do not know
They do not know
my transcendental nature
my transcendental nature
and my supreme dominion
and my supreme,
over all that be.
my supreme
Dominion.
dominion over all that be. Yes. Param bhavam ajananto. Such men are ignorant of the inconceivable potency of the Lord. By the inconceivable potency of the Lord, He, the Lord, can move in human society or any other society of living beings and yet remain the same omnipotent Lord without deviating in the slightest from His transcendental position. So, for the benefit of men who are unable to accept the Lord in His personal eternal form, Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Shukadeva Goswami how to fix the mind on Him in the beginning, and the Goswami replied in detail as follows. Yes. Translation again, yeah. The fortunate king Parikshit, inquiring further, said, O Brahmana, please describe in full detail how and where the mind has to be applied and how the conception can be fixed so that the dirty things in a person's mind can be removed. So the dirty things within the mind, we generally forget, and most people actually don't know, that we have been carrying dirty things within our mind since a very, very long time. We understand from Bhagavad Gita that we are continuously transmigrating from one body to another. And although this gross material body that we see, that we identify with, and that we are able to perceive, completely becomes vanquished and disappears at the moment of death. What most people are ignorant of is that our subtle body does not become extinguished at the moment of death. The subtle material body, which is made up of the mind, intelligence, and ego, actually carries the spirit soul into another body. And so we have so many unfulfilled desires because the mind is the seat of these activities of thinking, feeling, and willing. So all of our material thoughts, all of our material feelings, and all of our material desires, until and unless they are fulfilled, either in human form or lower species, or higher species, for that matter, to fulfill these different desires. So any material desire falls in the category of abhadra. And therefore, in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, Srinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Ridyantaste Abhadrani, the abhadras, the unwanted things within the heart, the dirty things within the heart, can only be, as nicely explained here, can only become cleansed and can only ultimately, that is, the goal of yoga. Or we could say, not actually the goal of yoga, but a side effect of yoga. The goal of yoga is not simply to wash up everything, make the unwanted things within the heart disappear. The ultimate aim of yoga is to rekindle or reawaken our dormant love for Krishna. So we have no idea. In one of the purports in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, one who is not conscious of who he is, one who is not a devotee, every morsel of food he eats is a sinful action. Every action we perform disconnected with Krishna is sinful. And therefore, we can just imagine, means every single moment of the day, every second of the day, we are committing sinful activity unknowingly, not even conscious of it, for which we have to suffer all kinds of reaction. So therefore, that very nice statement that only people who are in knowledge, people who know, people who are cultivating transcendental knowledge can understand the phrase or the expression, die before you die. Die before you die. Make all of your material desires null and void, isn't it? Die before you die means this, we have the opportunity, and this opportunity is only given in the human form of life to completely make our material desires null and void. Because we have until the moment we will leave this present material body to completely nullify our material desires. This is only possible, we come to know from both Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, by adopting the supreme transcendental process of bhakti or devotional service. So here the point is being made in these verses and also in the purport that Krishna is very kind. Even those who are unable to immediately or quickly accept or understand the personal feature or aspect of the absolute truth, one can begin that process by appreciating the material cosmic manifestation. Because when we begin to think, somebody sent a picture of someone standing at nighttime looking at the sky. If we walk away from the cities, we can see the sky. If we are stuck up in the cities, we cannot see the sky. So if one lives in a village, in that sense, he has more of an opportunity to become God conscious. Because one can see the unlimited, we call le firmament, the whole cosmic display at nighttime, especially if one is able to see what is called the Milky Way, right? What was the Milky Way called in Sanskrit? And in Bengali it must be like the dude something, huh? There are, I think every language has a particular expression. What is it? In Telugu. Pala? Kunta. Yeah, Kunta. Pala Kunta. The Milky Way. And most people don't even see the Milky Way. And people who see the Milky Way, they don't know what the Milky Way is.
Also, this Saptarishi Mother also can see. I mentioned
Saptarishi. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that is called the Big Dipper and the Small Dipper, made of 7 stars. Yeah, those represent the Saptarishis. So many things. we see things, well, so most of the time we don't even see things, but when we see things like the Milky Way, for example, if we don't know, if we've not been introduced to Vedic knowledge, we won't know what that is, you see. And the Milky Way is described actually in the Bhagavatam, isn't it? Milky Way is connected with the Vamana Lila, pastime of Lord Vamana, who pierced the covering of the universe with his big toe. And in this way, what is separating the material world from the spiritual world, which is the Viraja, the river, some few drops of the causal ocean, it's called also the causal ocean, entered into the material world, and that causal ocean is spiritual, and this has been presently as we sit here, as we speak, it is being carried throughout the universe, coming down from the different planetary systems until it is actually the Ganga. The Ganga is the Milky Way. It's coming down. That's why you can see, you've seen the Milky Way, huh? It's very distinct. You can see it's like a cluster, a long line of a cluster of stars. It's appearing like that to us, that is clearly seen, in the firmament, in the material sky. And so this is one of so many examples. I mean, even there's so many, what they call the 7 wonders of the world, right? Do you know what the 7 wonders of the world are?
It changes, Maharaj.
Huh?
Actually, it changes.
It's what?
7 wonders. They change after a few surveys, like after 10 years or something.
They change the 7 wonders of the world.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, the karmis do that all the time.
If something new comes out, they will
Yeah. Anyway, there are. So I thought there were 7 fixed wonders of the world, but people are discovering new wonderful things actually, because yeah. So the point being made here is that one who becomes a little bit attentive, one who actually wants to understand, cannot but be amazed and impressed at this material cosmic manifestation. So anyways, coming back to that picture that somebody sent me of a young man just like staring in the sky, and it was written, this can't have been arranged by chance. That was the message. Good message also, because that's the modern theory of creation. It happened by chance, or the Big Bang theory, whatever. So, so that for most people who even are fortunate to come to that level of thinking, that is like one's introduction to something beyond this material world, and that is one's introduction to finally being able to come to the personal aspect or personal feature of the Lord. But until that happens, this is the question being asked here by Parikshit Maharaj. He wants to know about the workings of the material mind and how it is that all the living entities in the material world, they become entangled actually, and they become conditioned by the workings of the material mind. And that also is completely unknown to the vast majority of people in the material world, how they are conditioned by the material mind, what are the characteristics and the activities of the material mind, which are summarized in the Bhagavad Gita and are known by devotees in these three categories of thinking, feeling, and willing. So in Krishna consciousness, it is not that we stop thinking, it is not that we stop feeling, and it is not that we stop desiring or willing, but we learn to direct, or as Prabhupada would say, we learn to dovetail these three propensities or three qualities of the mind, thinking, feeling, and willing, towards Krishna, towards the Supreme Absolute Truth. And in this way, our thinking, feeling, and willing does not stop, but becomes purified, isn't it? And the perfection of human form of life is to completely change, to completely convert our thinking, feeling, and willing process from material thinking, feeling, and willing to spiritual thinking and feeling. Because even, Prabhupada explains, even we have one small material desire, this disqualifies us from going back home, back to Godhead. And we know that we have so many material desires. So material desires can only become washed away, so to speak, if we reawaken. If we reawaken this higher realm of spiritual desires by knowing about the spiritual world, by knowing about Krishna, etc. So this will be explained by Shukadeva Goswami, and Prabhupada makes the point also that actually Parikshit Maharaj did not really need to ask this question, but he is asking it for our benefit, for the benefit of those who cannot cannot think in this way. One very nice, nice expression here in the purport. Thus, persons who are unable to pin their faith, to pin their faith on the personal feature of the Absolute, are given a chance to associate with his Virat Rupa, or the cosmic impersonal feature of the Lord. Majority of people who practice yoga, their level of samadhi is pinned there, and gets stuck there actually until and unless they are fortunate to come in contact with the majority of people are totally majority of people are totally even unaware that there is this kind of knowledge or understanding, what we call Vedic knowledge, isn't it? So therefore the importance of I think this is in the verse or in the purport also, or is it yatha, as it is. We are the as it is sampradaya. We are as it is. So actually in the purport, Prabhupada at least 3 times mentions the word, malam, manomalam, purushasya manomalam, the dirty things of the mind, accumulated in the mind of conditioned souls. Comment? Question? Yes.
Sometimes you see that Vyasadeva, Sukadeva Goswami, and some other devotees, sake of the Leela, first they become impersonalist and then they become a devotees. But as a general devotees, they are also gone to some different levels and they come to devotional life. How it is?
The question is?
And devotees also,
Yeah.
in previous life and before, they gone to, and they come to all these stages, become devotee, or somebody can directly come to devotion.
Oh. So your question is it necessary first to become impersonal, or can one directly come to devotional service?
Yeah.
Okay. One can come directly to devotional service. Every situation is different. Every person is different. Just like Prabhupada explains how generally there is the gradual, actually various instructions are there in the Shastra, especially. Actually, it's interesting how who was making this point? I forget now. That mostly we find in the Vedic literatures guidance or instructions for regulated sense gratification, because the majority of people are caught up and cannot immediately give up sense gratification. So regulated sense gratification, actually the whole Varnashrama system is like that as well. And the majority of people need to go through the gradual steps, let's say, which includes also the impersonal aspect. But one can bypass. One who is fortunate to come in contact with a pure devotee, he doesn't have to take. As a matter of fact, the whole Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us that opportunity. And as a matter of fact, some devotees use this argument also. Hey, our process is not the gradual process, which is true. But the majority of people, even the majority of devotees, cannot immediately take that up. So therefore, varnashram is necessary, you see. But theoretically, one does not have to take to the gradual process. Prabhupada mentions, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the unique and special feature that he has introduced is the elevator process. You don't have to take the stairs to go up to your apartment that's on the 100th, level. It takes a long time, and you have to stop in between to catch your breath. And so there's the elevator. Take the elevator. So the Harinam Sankirtan process is the elevator process. But as Prabhupada explains, although this is being offered to all of us, not everyone will take, even though we may know, we all know that by fully surrendering immediately to Krishna, we are there, we are liberated, we become immediately liberated. But because of our different conditioning, the vast majority, even of people, isn't it? The vast majority of people who come to Krishna consciousness cannot immediately take the full advantage of the process that is being presented to us. So for those individuals, they have to acknowledge and recognize their conditioned situation. That's why Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes that statement that the Varnashrama system is there for those Vaishnavas in their conditioned state. For the Vaishnavas, of course, that's why also Srila Prabhupada explains that to become a Vaishnava, it is not so easy. Everyone can immediately begin to take up the chanting of the holy name. Everyone can immediately begin the process of serving. But generally we serve in a mixed mood or mentality. That's called, that's natural, that's expected in the level of sadhana. But we know that the goal is to serve without any impurity or motivation. Yeah. You're about to make a point. Yeah.
Another question.
Oh, another question. Yeah. So just to finish on this point, It means that actually a vast majority of conditioned souls will go through these different stages, but it is not necessary. And we are all coming from who knows what kind of background, isn't it? I mean, we're all different. And of course, Prabhupada explains in the Nectar Devotion how those who have a natural, let's say, affinity, a natural inclination upon coming in contact with devotees, for example, or even before coming in contact with devotees, they have a natural inclination to be inquisitive. It means that they've performed devotional activities previously, you see. One doesn't come so quickly or so easily to the association of devotees. As a matter of fact, in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that it is to conceive of the personal feature of God is repulsive. Two words Prabhupada uses here. What is it? In the purport. Yeah, for most people, anyways, meantime you can ask your question. I'll try to find these two words Prabhupada uses. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. The question is that all the six anarthas, which are actually there in the mind Maharaj. So, when is conditioned soul at the sadhana stage, so he can become pure from these anarthas by himself. Guru Kripa is also required at the condition at the sadhana stage.
So the question is whether a conditioned soul, by practicing sadhana, can by himself completely become cleansed. And the answer is no. By ourselves we cannot do anything. We do need the mercy of Krishna. We need the mercy of the Vaishnavas. So sadhana only becomes successful because it is an integral part of sadhana. These are the nicely explained, of course, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the 64 items of devotional service, isn't it? The first 10 are very much related to the Guru, to the need for the mercy of the spiritual master and of the Vaishnavas as well. So nothing is possible without both the mercy of Krishna and his devotees. Because to overcome and to completely wash away the dirty things within the heart, it is humanly impossible. Yeah, by our own limited power or efforts. So therefore, that's an integral part of our philosophy. Without the explicit mercy, means without the intervention of Krishna, isn't it? Without the intervention of Guru, we remain conditioned. We cannot, the example also is there. It's like someone who can swim fine, but you put him in the middle of the ocean, he's finished. Yeah. So we can do something, but we are very, very insignificant. We are very, very small, and therefore one of the important aspects of the process is to be praying constantly for the mercy of the Lord, for the mercy of the spiritual master, for the mercy of the Vaishnavas. Yeah. anyways, for the vast majority of people, I didn't find it here, but the idea of the personal aspect of the feature of the Lord is completely repulsive. Yeah. Here it is. The non-devotee class of men cannot think of the personal feature of the Lord because of their poor fund of knowledge. The personal form of the Lord, like Rama and Krishna, or Krishna, is completely revolting to them. Interesting, huh? Completely revolting. Even, it's like the idea of surrendering, most people don't like the idea of surrendering. Because it means I have to stop doing all kinds of nonsense. Nobody likes the idea of listening to somebody else, of following somebody else.
Why I'm asking this question? Because even we are performing devotional service.
Your question. Coming back to your question, yeah.
Still that, it is maybe higher level. Because realizing the Lord's form is not as you said. It's like high
Highest.
high religion,
Yes.
So practicing long time, still they not realizing that the Lord is a form.
So we should all become impersonalists.
They're saying that still that seeds are there, the impersonalism seeds are there.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah.
and relationship also with this impersonalism.
Yeah. So dirty things means all kinds of, it falls in two categories, isn't it? The dirty things, what impedes our progress or advancement is what is called fruitive activities. So karma. Therefore, these two categories of people, the karmis and the gyanis, and all of us in our previous lives, we've, to different degrees and different levels, we've been conditioned by these two levels. And therefore, yes, it does take a long time to wash away all of these, that's nicely explained in detail actually in the Nectar Devotion, that we carry within the subtle body, within the mind, yet to be fructified seeds, material seeds of desires. This body that we have now is to some extent, based on previous, it's all everything about this body and about our activities and people we encounter, etc. These are all different reactions from previous. But even now we have this body, there are still seeds that gradually come up and surface that need to be fulfilled, or that need to be cleansed or completely washed away. And that's the potency of the holy name, the potency of devotional activities, the potency of circumambulating Tulsi Maharani is like destroys, even coming to the mode of goodness. This is explained actually in the 14th canto. Coming to the mode of goodness washes away, cleanses away material desires or sinful reactions, actually it mentions sinful reactions. So at least we make an attempt, an endeavor to come to the mode of goodness, to become situated in the mode of goodness. Of course, Vaishnava philosophy is way beyond that. It's way beyond that, but we have to accept the reality of where we are, and by these different activities, and this will be explained in the courses, in the verses to come, the intricacies of the workings of the material mind. Yeah. Okay. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Sri Prabhupada ki, Gauda Pimanandi, Hare Krishna.